The squatting event, I caught that because I remember how much trouble that gave everybody last year. I don't know about you, but I gravely overestimated my ability in the squat. The long bar, the propensity for hitting uneven at the bottom, and how devastating that is when you get thrown off to the side. Was the weight the similar this year as it was last year? Do you know if
I
they
believe
changed it?
so. I think some of the competitors thought it might have been a few more pounds. But I think what gave was tough for some of the competitors was just it was just a little bit last moment they went from they had to go into the parking lot and it was a little bit of a slant.
Okay.
But in the end, I think the best squatter still won the group. So like it wasn't a problem for Jesse, even if it was flat or not, or even if it was before and after event. I think that would have been fine. But in the end, generally the best squatters were able to squeeze out a rep.
And I agree with that as a rule. I think, and that's the sport, right? You're always going to be pressing in gravel or doing something in a drainage ditch. It's like the best guys usually can fly through it. I was surprised because I saw a lot of guys zero that I think got reps last year, but it looked like just a slaughter. And I don't know how you feel about this. There's like kind of a school of thought that says you don't really need to squat to be good at strongman. How do you feel that? How do you feel about that? Is kind of a an approach to training for strongman?
Well, I think before I even last year, before we even did the squat, my best squat it was like 600. We had of course 600 for reps. It was again this year. I think my best squat was like a 535 535 squat, and I think that was from a Zerkshire. So
Oh wow.
it was so I haven't really like pushed it. But I think you do have to have a good amount of quad strength. So I always try to focus on like volume squats and then a heavy leg press because I like the heavy leg press that translates to deadlifts, translates to like pressing. But it is squatting for hypertrophy or for strength building compared to competition is much different. I think the one thing that I was focused on last year was having a really strong core. Even this year, having a really strong core and kind of bulletproof in the squat position rather than focusing on hitting certain weights in training.
I think that's a really smart approach. That core strength came in immensely with that long bar. I mean, I never would have thought that those little inches of difference on hitting the rails could make so much of a difference. But you just saw people get stapled left and right.
And it was fixed as well, so it's welded onto the actual weight, so it kind of moves on rather than the plates might give it a little adjustment. So even when you hit, it might move on you, and especially in your wrist and position. So some guys were not into it, but some guys were going too slow, and then they get no pop at the bottom, and then some guys if they go too fast, they will lose the position. So it is a little bit of a trick.
It definitely is. Surprisingly different from just setting up the box on like your regulation sized axle and training. You know what I mean? There's so much more control. You get comfortable in your own environment. But it just goes to show how diverse and ready you have to be.